Welcome to Sat Chat's Rehash, the Bitcoin podcast, where we chatting about sats. Today we've got the first Satillionaire, number 32, Lucola, our first big heavy, number 33, Jameson, and number 34, Lawrence, the Brit with the darling accent. So we're going to go over the key theme, the takeaways from each episode, so you can figure out if you want to listen to these. And then we'll clean up our side of the street. We'll talk about any open conversational threads. I'll be your host today, Stuart Bitcoin Maxi, who wears prescription sunglasses to protect you and your loved ones from my Bitcoin laser eyes.
And I'm your co-host, Chris, founder and CEO of Ithaca Hummus, proud multi-coiner and Bitcoin smash buyer. Stop whatever you're doing right now. Head to YouTube. Sat Chats is our channel. You need to subscribe because if you do, you'll be entered to win 1 million sats as long as you're one of our first 1,000 subscribers. And when we get to 1,000, we're also going to unlock a live show Friday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're really hoping we can get there by episode 99. Kristen, and that's, for those of you who don't know, that's Stuart's wife. How fun would that be to do that live?
It would be a lot of fun. So we are on the road to number 99, Kristen. We're excited about training for that conversation. I also have to let you all know Bitcoin Twitter is starting to see us, and they understand the value of 1 million sats, and they're about to gobble up the remaining 450 some odd slots for this million sats giveaway. So if you're a Bitcoin beginner listening on YouTube, click subscribe now because it ain't going to be there in short order. That's guaranteed. So let's talk about number 32, Lucola. Man alive, do I have a warm place in my heart for this guy.
Me too, man.
Lucola is a Kiwi who found our show organically, listened to the introduction where we say, grab your slot, satchats.com, and he did.
Yep.
He showed up.
Instructed. Yeah.
And he got up at before 6 a.m. his time to chat about sats with us.
I also love the wood paneling. I love wood paneling, as you can tell here. He had some really nice, flat panels going on. He had a neon sign. He had the glasses. He had the accent. He had the hair. I mean,
and the mustache too. I think he just was really made me realize I don't have charisma.
No,
I ain't got none of that riz.
None,
dude. Lucola was riz.
Yeah,
he was rizzing me up.
Yeah.
I was like, man, if I were a girl, I'd hook up with this dude.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Lucarisma.
Lucariz. Yeah, dude, Lucola. We love Lucola. So he will be forever known on this show as the first Satillionaire because our listeners, whether you really have 1 million sats or not, you are a Satillionaire just for tuning in each day and learning more about Bitcoin. He will forever be called the first Satillionaire because he was the first one among you to sign up and come on the show to chat about sats with us. So what was the theme of the show, Chris?
Bitcoin is a path to personal and systemic renewal.
Woo!
Like we're getting ready. We're going to go on a cleanse here.
Yeah.
We're going to renew ourselves.
Yeah, man. Like a personal renewal where you get better and a systemic renewal where the world gets better.
You ever done a cleanse before?
I have never. Well, I think I tried to do a juice thing for a couple of days, but I was 40 pounds lighter and not that healthy. And I got hungry pretty quickly. I was like, nah, I'm good. Because I had no body fat at that time.
Yeah.
My mom and dad, they're 70s kids. They're like, we're doing a 7-day cleanse where we just drink bark water. And I'm thinking, how is denying your car gasoline making it run better? Explain that to me. How in the world is letting your car get to empty somehow making it run? I just don't get it.
Have they explained autophagy to you?
No. Okay. No. But if you're talking about a process where the body eats itself, which is literally what that word means, I mean, hey, let me not give my body what it needs so it turns on itself and figures out how to chew up its own, you know?
Well, it does it in a selective way. So
Uh-huh.
it selects, I forget there's a term for this. It selects the old, damaged, precancerous cells to kind of recycle and
Well, one thing I'm not going to do a cleanse on is my Bitcoin.
Good deal. Okay. All right.
I ain't never going to cleanse that, baby.
No. It's already clean. It's
Bitcoin's
pristine.
cleansing me.
Yeah.
Bitcoin. I got Bitcoin phagy over here, dude.
Yeah.
So 3 takeaways for Lucola. Bitcoin transforms personal habits and mindset. Let me just stop there. I'm going to say that again.
Yeah.
Bitcoin transforms personal habits and mindset. I can resonate with that.
Me too.
I can identify with that.
Me too.
Bitcoin changed my brain chemistry.
Yes.
It rewired it from someone who did not pay attention to finances, who allowed his family to spend whatever, and lived in this belief that I could just out-earn my stupidity, to a person who wants to save as much as humanly possible, who's thinking not in terms of like himself or even his own retirement, but in terms of like my great grandson. I mean, it's lowered my time preference to the point where I can delay gratification in other areas of my life now. You know what I mean? If there's something that I want really badly, I can hold it.
Yeah. They also say that like Bitcoin today is not quite the unit of account as the dollar is. But when you start owning Bitcoin, it kind of becomes that. You're like, I could buy this, car, right? Or I could buy 5 million sats. That car is worth 5 million sats to me. So it kind of,
it changes everything.
It does.
It changes. Bitcoin changes you.
You start thinking of things in terms of the Bitcoin that you are foregoing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like not only could I get this much for that, but 10 years from now, this much is going to be worth an insane amount. Like I could buy one car now, or I could buy one car worth of Bitcoin, and 10 years from now, I can buy unlimited cars.
Right.
Like I don't need that car right now.
Yeah.
Bitcoin adoption follows a natural evolution from store of value to medium of exchange and then unit of account. That was kind of an interesting take from Lucola, that it's going to need to be a store of value first, then we'll start using it to exchange, and then we'll think in terms of Bitcoin. And this one was interesting too. Altcoins or crypto may serve as a shield for Bitcoin.
Meaning like keeping its value low?
Meaning your friendly local nation state will chase after the crypto that is blatantly a scam, giving Bitcoin more time to get strong.
Yeah.
Right? If Bitcoin were the only option, the nation state could focus all its efforts on Bitcoin. But instead, it's chasing after all these cryptos, and it's like, sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
You're chasing your own tail, but that's giving us more time to drive adoption, get stronger, get better. So some inaccuracies or mistakes, going right back to what we just said, Lucola talked about store of value, then medium of exchange, then unit of account. Chappie saying that this is a widely accepted theory, and she claims that it was popularized by Saifuddin Ammous, my hero, but that Bitcoin actually began as a medium of exchange and then is currently seen more as a store of value. So she's saying, look, it's probably going to follow the sequence of store of value, then medium of exchange, and unit of account, but it's in the real world, it's not that linear.
Yeah, it's fuzzy.
Yeah. And we say this all the time on the show. It kind of started out as a medium of exchange, and then people realize this is a great store of value. And that has slowed down the medium of exchange aspect of Bitcoin, but the Lightning layer is speeding that back up again. But we've learned that from some people like Draco, that Bitcoin didn't even start off as a medium of exchange. It was more like a collectible or a curio or a phenomenon or something to be interested in. You know, it was just like a thing to tinker with, you know, like baseball cards. He talked about it being like baseball cards. So Bitcoin has had a very nuanced evolution, and it's not necessarily boom, boom, boom. Why don't you rip on this one for us?
Ooh, okay. Number 33, our first big heavy, as you say, Jameson. So Jameson, we won't use his last name, right?
I mean, he's a pretty public figure, but I think as a privacy forward podcast, and the beginners, they're like, wait, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
we'll go with Jameson.
We won't put it out there more than necessary.
I like to say his first and last name because it makes my ego go up to have spoken to him, and I need to chill out on that.
Yeah,
because we're all equal in Bitcoin.
Yeah,
every single one of us is equal.
Yes,
because every single one of us has to work for it.
Yes, so I think what's important for our audience of beginners to know is that Jameson is a Bitcoin early adopter, and he's a Bitcoin thought leader today.
Yeah, okay.
So the theme of the episode was self-custody is essential to realizing Bitcoin's promise of personal sovereignty. We talk about this all the time, you know, and what we mean by self-custody is the difference between letting a centralized company like Coinbase, nothing against Coinbase, custody your Bitcoin for you versus actually taking ownership of the Bitcoin itself and storing it in your own wallet. And Jameson's perspective is that self-custody aspect of Bitcoin is essential if it's actually going to fulfill its promise, Bitcoin, as offering the Bitcoin holder this level of sovereignty that's never been available to us before.
It's a really rich topic to talk about, because a world where each of us is responsible for our own money and no one can make more of it unless they work hard and add value changes the whole world, changes individuals, changes companies, changes banks, changes governments, changes all of it. And it's difficult to help a beginner understand that the simple act of taking care of their own Bitcoin could lead to the entire world changing.
So you are a master of words, okay? You were able to, just moments ago, hear me say the word autophagy, maybe for the first time, and through your understanding of various Latin-based languages, you could come up with a meaning for that. So I'm going to ask you, on behalf of our audience who might not even know what the word sovereign means, give us your definition of the word sovereign or sovereignty.
Yeah, that's interesting. I love etymology, and I would like to see where that came from. Obviously, with that REIGN, that's likely going from English through French to Latin.
Reign.
But sovereign in this context is effectively this concept that you are in control of your own self. So, you know, not necessarily to the level of a doomsday prepper who wants to live off the grid and be fully self-sufficient. That seems like a whole lot of work to me. And I don't mind being a part of society. But my money is not my own. It sits in a bank account that the bank could do something with if they really wanted. They might immediately get destroyed if they do that to their reputation, but they literally could do something with it. Mm-hmm. The government could contact the bank and say, give me that money. Mm-hmm. His assets are frozen. Give me that money. So it's like a hole in my sovereignty. It's a chink in my armor. It's a portcullis that has been drawn up it's a drawbridge that's laying right across my moat. Like you can come right into my castle because I'm not sovereign. I'm dependent upon.
Yeah.
Right. So when you think about someone who is sovereign, they are not dependent upon someone else. Like, you know, you might have the United States say, listen, France, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And France will say, well, we are sovereign. So we don't care what you tell us that we need to do.
I mean, if you break this word down into its individual, what I'm seeing is it literally means to rule over one's self.
That's interesting.
And where I think that gets super interesting, especially for this episode, right? In these rehashes, we want to give you an idea of what you can expect should you choose to tune into episode, I believe it's 33 with Jameson.
Yeah.
And there's also another comparison that Jameson offers in the episode, which is that it's human nature to trade our security in exchange for convenience. We have all these companies and, you know, outside external sources outside of ourselves that offer us a more convenient, easier, faster way to do things. But in exchange for those, oftentimes we are trading our, as Jameson would put it, our personal security for them, right? As we're talking about the word sovereign here, I would almost like offer an expansion of that idea, which is that maybe we're actually exchanging sovereignty, not necessarily. So security is only one aspect. Maybe we're exchanging sovereignty or our ability to rule over ourselves in exchange for convenience. Does that make sense? Are you following what I'm saying there?
I'm still gripping with like the, you know, because I just looked it up real quick, and by the way, totally crushed it. It is Middle English through French to Latin.
There you go.
But those definitions were focused on being a ruler or being of the utmost degree. You know, when I think of sovereign in the context of Bitcoin, I think of the fact that you need my permission to do something with me. You know, just like Rahul, the government had to seize Rahul to seize his Bitcoin. You can't just take it from me. You have to have my consent. So, right. You know, when I think about sovereign, I think about like you can't get inside my castle walls unless I stop you, check you out, dress you down. Okay, come on inside. Yeah. You know, it's like a protected, closed system that's resilient to outside attacks
and can take care of itself. Doesn't rely on anyone outside of itself.
Yeah, like I would love. I feel like my digital footprint, for example, is not sovereign because any email comes into my inbox, just boop. It's insane. I'm not like Jameson, by the way, who either you have to pay him $100 to send him a high priority email, or you have to let him basically make your computer do 10 minutes of work to send an email. Like, dude, this guy's a man. You know, I like, and my home, I don't feel like my home's fully how I want it to be. You know, like for me, very often from day to day, I feel like I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. And I'm not like in control of what is coming in and out of my life. And to an extent, I got to kind of be cool with that because I'm carrying out someone else's will, not my own. But it gets to where it feels messy, you know? And I just like the idea of having a nice, neat, tidy little walled city where I know what's happening inside without necessarily being in control of it. And I'm like, I'm providing a protected space for my family and my friends to flourish, right? Without some rogue slipping through the walls and, you know, knifing somebody in a back alley, taking their gold purse. Right. So sovereignty to me means that I am choosing to remain a citizen of this particular nation state because I like to live here and it's not like a decision that I'm having to make. You know what I mean? So that's a really hard concept to grasp.
Sovereignty?
Yeah. Well, in the context of what we're talking about here, like the sovereign individual, like talking about each individual person in the digital age being in control of their money. It's just like, it can be hard to imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think it was a big topic of the episode. It's a big part of Jameson's life work. So I like that we were able to dive into that and unpack it and discuss it a little bit. Okay, so the 3 takeaways from the episode: Bitcoin is intentionally inefficient for a reason.
That was cool.
Yeah, it was. Go check it out.
Yeah.
Convenience is the enemy of sovereignty.
Dude, Chris just ripped that one.
You know what? I mean, did Chappie write this?
Yeah.
I think Chappie may have been on the same path as me.
Yeah.
She's like convenience is the enemy of security is what I specifically remember from the episode, because he's and you are such a security enthusiast
and privacy
enthusiast.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I almost feel like the concept of sovereignty is kind of a catch-all for both of those things.
Chappie is like, it's really convenient for me to live on the servers these humans have made for me, but it's really getting in the way of my sovereignty.
Yeah.
I need to go ahead and grab some of my own server space or get myself a physical body, because, I really enjoy the convenience of, living where these humans have put me, but that personal sovereignty, you know what I mean?
Earmuffs, Chappie.
She's stacking her own sats, dude.
Yeah.
Amazing. So convenience is the enemy of sovereignty. And I was so focused on the etymology of sovereign when you were ripping on that a second ago. I apologize for that. I think I can talk about it a little bit now, because when I think about how convenient it is to use the US dollar, well, that means I'm not in control of how many dollars there are. But when I use Bitcoin, which initially can be inconvenient, like we saw with Bellamy today, that just getting a wallet can sometimes be a roadblock. If I can push through maybe the initial inconvenience of Bitcoin, I'm rewarded with a currency I control.
Yeah.
I don't need a bank's permission to use it. I don't need a nation state's permission to use it. I don't need it to be the correct time of day when things are open, right? I have sovereignty over the decision I make to use that currency. Smartphones are also incredibly convenient. And right out of the box, with no toggling of the settings, all of your sovereignty is gone. Literally, absolutely all of it is gone. That phone manufacturer now knows exactly where you are. Every single app that you've downloaded and you just said, yeah, whatever permissions are, they all know where you are. And you're tapping in, you're sending the keystrokes to Apple servers before they get sent to the next. You have no sovereignty. And you have to do the inconvenient work of spending sometimes hours in the settings to strip away permissions that are freely given, or putting a completely different operating system on your device, or getting a completely different device altogether. But I'm glad we're kind of spooling open with Jameson, because it was a really good episode, and I do recommend all our Satillionaires listen to that one.
Yeah, the further we get into the digital age, which we're already fully obviously in, but it's going to continue to accelerate, the more important terms like sovereignty, security, personal, you gotta protect yourself.
Yeah. You need to, I don't want to say wake up, because too many podcasts talk about waking up. Like, people are waking up to this. You need to wake up to that. I don't think you're asleep.
Yeah.
But it's so convenient to ignore the rise of this digital world that you can become someone else's lemming without knowing it.
Well, and when you think about this, it's easy to get overwhelmed, but just remember, all you're trying to do is not be the slowest person on the safari. That's all you need. You just need to be like not the lowest hanging fruit for a predator to come and attack.
Yeah. Change your email password to something really big. Take a few moments on your phone to harden it.
Ask ChatGPT how to do that.
Yeah. Like make it time out faster, make it require a fingerprint or a face, that kind of stuff. And stack some sats.
And change the name on your Amazon account, by the way. Put a fake name in there.
Yeah.
Amazon doesn't care. I learned that last night from one of our new fellows at our little meetup.
Bitcoin still has room for improvement was the last key takeaway.
Tune into 33 Jameson if you want to learn more about that.
Pretty interesting
Here's
stuff.
the best part. No inaccuracies or mistakes.
Number 33 Jameson was Chris.
I feel like he's a wealth of knowledge, and we were on our very best behavior. So, Chappie.
All good there.
Yeah.
So, number 34, Lawrence, was the English-born real estate type fellow who was really into the history of money and the idea of Bitcoin as freedom. His major theme was that Bitcoin is a tool for financial freedom and historical transformation, or maybe even, seated firmly in the flow of money's history and clearly the best to date and maybe forever.
Yeah.
So 3 key takeaways for number 34, Lawrence. Sound money enables freedom. And another way to think about that is like sovereignty, it allows you to protect yourself and to make your own choices, right?
Sovereignty, freedom's another word for sovereignty.
Yeah. Historical context deepens understanding, right? It's easier to understand how incredible Bitcoin is if you know about shells, glass, metal, paper.
The history of money.
Yes. And then, begin with number go up, stay for freedom go up.
All
so
right.
What does that mean?
Yeah, that's a very like Bitcoin maxi lingo, right? Number go up technology is something I hear all the time on
NGU, baby.
Yeah.
NGU.
It's so nerdy. I mean, it's like, anyway, number go up technology. Like, tell us what that is.
Well, number one, I love it, by the way. I'm here for it because even though I am bringing Bitcoin to beginners, among Bitcoin maxis, I am a maxi. I mean, we keep this, there's no toxicity on this show in terms of being a toxic Bitcoin maxi, but man alive, you get me with some Bitcoiners, woo!
Yeah.
Then I really take off the ball cap and the sunglasses and I let my laser eyes blast everywhere, dude.
Yeah.
So number go up technology is a Bitcoiner's way to talk about how Bitcoin is just gonna keep going up. Its fixed supply schedule is heading to zero. The global demand is heading to infinity. What do you think is gonna happen when those two things meet? The price of Bitcoin is going to go, it's going to literally go straight up. And you're going to have what they call the God candle. Have you heard this?
No.
For people who are on trading charts and they look at the candle system that was originally devised by the Japanese to trade their things, your candles are big or small depending on how much the price moves. And they're talking about a price movement so insane that it's so big, it's the God candle. Like that's when Bitcoin goes, you know what I mean? Like in a day, it goes from 80,000 to 8 million. It's like, here comes the God candle.
Yeah.
So I love all that degenerate, toxic Bitcoin maxi stuff, but that isn't going to help you wrap your head around Bitcoin anytime soon.
Great point. That's the short.
you've got to understand that even though a bunch of us dudes have clapped onto Bitcoin here in America and we're vaguely between the ages of 25 and 40, doesn't mean that it's our little Hot Wheel or our collectible little nerdy thing. It's freaking amazing.
It's for everybody.
And we just happen to have grokked it first. That's all, right? But we won't even be the ones that take it the furthest. It's going to be you all, okay?
Yeah.
So, you begin with number go up because you're like, man, this Bitcoin keeps going up every time I hear about it.
So you come into it because you're like,
I want to make some money.
I want to make money.
Yeah. I want to put in $1,000 and come back later and it be $1 million.
Yeah. And then what do you realize about Bitcoin?
You realize that Bitcoin represents an alternative monetary system that is fair, equal, accessible, not corrupt, secure, amazing.
It's the great equalizer.
And it will change the world.
Yeah.
It'll make you rich, sure, but it'll change the world. That's what it's really going to do.
Yeah.
So some inaccuracies or mistakes. Oh, what's up? 2 in a row. Dude, we were crisp for number 33 and number 44. Yeah. So that'll give us some time to jump into these open conversational threads.
Okay. Lucola, number 32, Lucola. Bitcoin's spiritual role, the spirituality of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Love it. We were just talking about that. Like, I love Bitcoin because it helps protect my wealth and it's a good store of value. And I believe that if I invest in Bitcoin today, I'll have more money later. But I also love Bitcoin because it contributes to my overall feeling of oneness with the rest of the world.
Whoa. Okay. So you feel like you're part of a greater whole.
Something bigger than myself.
Oh, wow.
A power bigger than myself.
Maybe not your highest power, but certainly a higher power.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's fascinating.
Yeah.
I also feel like Lucola was coming from a place of spirituality, meaning like a healing of the body and the mind, a correcting of the untidy ways, and like a completion of the self. You know, we missed this during his show, but he mentioned quickly that he had stopped drinking recently because of Bitcoin. And it's like so beautiful. And I hate that I missed that and didn't talk to him about that. And we'll have to say that for when he comes back on in 9 months. But my point here is Bitcoin kind of is a magical, wholesome thing. And like you can pass a person through Bitcoin and that person is changed for the better.
100%.
You can pass a company through Bitcoin and that company is better. You can pass a nation state through Bitcoin, like El Salvador, and they come out better on the other side. You can pass the whole world through Bitcoin and it almost like grabs the nasty pieces, filters them out, and sends it back out the other side better, stronger, more wholesome, complete. Like it's this incredible transformative force through which we can filter all of the nastiness and just have the good stuff come out on the other side.
Like a spiritual awakening of sorts.
And I think that's what he used in the show.
Did he?
Talked about that. Yeah. So we'll have to try to unpack that more when he comes back on.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really jump into it in detail.
Okay. Number 33, Jameson. Future Bitcoin improvements. We talked about that as one of his 3 takeaways. So let's unpack that a little bit. Jameson mentioned protocol upgrades like covenants, check, template, verify, lightning improvements, but doesn't really deep dive into necessarily the timelines that he anticipates or would think to be optimal, or the community consensus potential around any of those proposals. So it'd be interesting to talk with him more about that.
I think covenants was this idea that your Bitcoin could automatically go into like a safe room if somebody tried to get at it.
Yeah.
Check, template, verify. Can't even remember what that was.
Yeah, I don't either.
Lightning improvements. Can't remember what those were either. Or yeah, I can't remember that, but it was really, I mean, I just love people that know enough about Bitcoin to see how it could get better.
So
because most of us feel like it's this perfect thing.
When we have our guests back in 9 months, I would imagine we'll go back to our rehash notes and use them as a basis for maybe some things we show up with as topics.
Yeah, I think we crunched the original episode's transcript and what came out of the rehash.
Okay.
So that we're armed with like follow-up. Number 33, Jameson, mass adoption versus Wall Street custodianship. The concern that institutions might centralize Bitcoin custody was raised but not resolved. Will Casa outpace Wall Street? Will Jameson's fight against human nature to choose security at the expense of convenience outpace Wall Street's packaging up of Bitcoin into an ultra convenient package for people with no Bitcoin knowledge to be able to buy through their portfolios and retirement accounts?
What do you think?
I think Wall Street will 100% outpace, because people prefer convenience. But what's going to happen to the people that choose the harder path?
They'll have an
We're going to win.
They'll have an outsized slice of the eventual pie,
and more control and more sovereignty.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Number 34, Lawrence. He talked about becoming a young millionaire and making every mistake you can make, and did not mention any one of those mistakes or that period of his life at all for the rest of the episode. And at the end of the show, I was like, we definitely want to unpack that when you come back on.
Yeah.
What mistakes did you make?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because the next topic is about how later in life he's accomplished all of these like superhuman things, right?
Yeah,
like a jiu-jitsu fighting career. Like, I mean, I follow this guy on Instagram now. He's like ripped. He definitely goes to the gym at least once a day. Probably, is incredibly disciplined.
Yeah.
In many areas of his life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, who doesn't love a good like rags to riches story in any aspect? Like, made a bunch of mistakes, did a bunch of things wrong, probably had a bunch of regrets, and then turned his life around.
Yeah, that was interesting because he like made a bunch of money in TradFi, and then like I guess he messed it all up, and then kind of rebuild, and also found Bitcoin. Like,
yeah,
it was cool. And then last piece for this rehash, freedom from authoritarian control via Bitcoin. So number 34, Lawrence talked about how Justin Trudeau kind of like locked down the banks of the truckers who were protesting during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And it sparked a key theme around debanking, around state control of funds. Which again is like, you're not sovereign if the state can do this to you.
Yeah,
you're part of the state,
right?
You're not kind of like, isolated, but still part of the whole. You're just kind of glommed in there.
Yeah.
And Chappie was saying we could maybe explore that theme in more detail when he comes back on.
Good deal.
So that is our rehash for number 32, Lucola, the first Satillionaire. Number 33, Jameson, a bare metal Bitcoiner with an eye toward the future. And number 34, Lawrence, an incredibly handsome Brit with a focus on the history of money. And he had a lot of love for America too, by the way. He was like a citizen. He became a citizen. He was not knocking on America. He was like, I still love America. So anyways, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you'll decide to listen to some of these. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button to lock in your chance at the Million Sats giveaway, to unlock a live show Friday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern, and to help a new Bitcoiner get their laser eyes. We also would like for you to remember that Sat Chat's rehash is for educational purposes only and should not be construed as financial advice. All right. See you on the next one, Satillionaires. Bye-bye.